Hello and welcome to Finextra. I'm Emily Haller at Cybos 2015 and I'm joined by Stuart Weinstein of Coventry University. Thank you very much for joining me.
Pleasure.
What's driving the securities settlement industry to improve transparency?
The issue has arisen in terms of the United States law enforcement. There have been a number of cases too where the United States government was concerned that a number of the large custodian banks were handling investments for clients that the U.S. government wasn't comfortable with, sanctioned parties. And the irony is that the two banks involved wasn't their customers, but there was customers of their customers. And that really is the concern here when you have omnibus accounts is you can know your customer, but it's trickier to know your customer's customer. And that really is the focus. It's the concern that there may be someone who is introduced to your bank by another bank and you don't have all the information you need about that particular individual, that particular person or entity. And that's what's really driving the issues here. It's that need for transparency to know who stands behind the payments, who stands behind cash, who stands behind securities transactions. And while there's been a great deal of work in the payments area, if you go to, say, Western Union, they ask you a lot of questions. Less so in the securities industry, and I think that that's really where the focus is going to be over the next couple of years.
Are regulators right to be worried about omnibus accounts?
I think to a certain extent the regulators are right to be concerned. I think we have to put it in perspective. These are billions of dollars are traded year-end through these different bank accounts involving securities transactions. And the concern is that there could be some bad players trying to access the market. So the regulator is right to be concerned. However, the reality is that there have only been one or two of these cases that have been brought. So the concern is that people have to be careful and have to be vigilant, but I think at this point the trend is just starting. I think there'll be more cases coming down the pipeline looking at who basically is accessing securities markets through custodian banks. And I think that's the next step and that's the next process.
How does the securities settlement industry and regulators achieve better alignment?
Well, I think the issue involves standards, and I think that the ISA, which is the International Securities Services Association, it's a trade association of a number of the leading CSDs. They've done a really fantastic job at developing a set of principles, compliance principles. And these compliance principles, I think, go a long way to addressing a lot of the regulatory concerns that regulators have asked. Now, the regulators concerned are not just the Americans, it's also European regulators. This was an outgrowth of some of the concerns involving Lehman Brothers and the issue of making sure that people's investment collateral is safe. So in that sense, the work that ISA has done has been really path-breaking, and I think that the regulators have really come to the table and said, well, appreciating that kind of work. It's educating the industry as to what they need to do to make sure that things are okay. And I think it's critical that that process of education and training continue.
Stuart, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
And thank you for watching.